Hi everyone and welcome back to a new video on Realizations. I know many of you are working extremely hard for CAT 2026, trying to score as high a percentile as you possibly can, which is so fair because that's what your number one priority should be right now. But many of you may also be thinking, what if I get a great CAT percentile, but my profile other than that is almost blank? Or maybe you're a fresher or someone with gap years with no full-time work experience, and you're feeling like, what could I do to build a stronger profile so that my chances of getting into a good B school increase? If that's you, then this video is exactly for you. Here I'm going to walk you through the genuine ways in which you can strengthen your profile. That will be helpful not just for your MBA admissions and interviews, but will also be helpful for you later on in your MBA placements. If you're new here, I'm Riya and I talk about CAT, MBA, upskilling, not in a genius all-knowing kind of way, but how an elder sibling would explain things to you. So if that interests you, make sure that you subscribe because it just takes 2 seconds for you, but gives me a positive signal that this is genuinely helpful and that I should keep creating stuff like this. Now, before we start, one important disclaimer. None of the things that I'm going to cover in this video will compensate if you get a terrible CAT score. These things only come in the picture after you have secured a great CAT score. So make sure that that remains your priority, and only after that your profile will help you stand out. Now let's get started. So what exactly is profile building? Most students think that profile building is just about impressing the interviewer. Well, it's much more than that. When you reach the interview stage, the admission committee asks, should we admit this candidate? Here they are looking for proof that you can contribute to classrooms. You will actually be able to understand what will be taught. You will do good in exams and you will be placeable, which means the college will be able to find a company that wants to recruit you. Now they evaluate this on the basis of course, your CAT score, your academic consistency throughout your journey, work experience wherever applicable, internships, leadership experience, initiatives that you've taken, the diversity that you bring to the table, overall interview performance, and achievements across categories. Now, different IIMs have different weightages for all of these things in their final composite score, but more or less these are the things that are being evaluated. Now let's get deeper into each of these categories and give you a framework so that you know what all are the buckets that I need to work on instead of just randomly doing certifications. The goal is not to be perfect in each of the buckets, which is practically not possible, but to show enough experience that the interviewer agrees that okay, this person is not unidimensional. The first point is your CAT score. Let's clear this misconception. I'm not saying that your CAT score is profile building, but CAT still remains the biggest filter that will determine whether you go to your dream B school or not. Think of it this way. CAT gets you shortlisted and your profile decides whether you will get selected or not. So CAT is the first step, but it's not complete in itself. So yes, CAT matters and your profile can never replace your CAT score. It can only add on to that. And just a reminder, when I'm talking about CAT score, I'm not just talking about your overall percentile, but also the sectional scores because each section also has its own cutoff. Now, coming to point number 2, which is your academics. Yes, your academic consistency throughout, your 10 score, your 12 score, and your UG score. Remember that when I'm saying your UG score, it's not just about the final CGPA. Often the admission committee looks at the trends. Has your score increased over the semesters or it has gone down? Something like a 6.8, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5. That shows that you've been improving. That shows that you've been putting effort, discipline. And in such cases, the story behind the marks also becomes compelling if you present it in a nice way. Academics also include scholastic achievements like Olympiads, NTSC, KVPY, scholarship exams, merit scholarships, your rank in your branch or overall, scores in exams like GATE, GMAT, CFA, FRM. Even qualifying or reaching at later stages of such competitive examinations can strengthen your profile and you can mention them. Wanted to quickly tell you about the sponsors of this video, which is PW MBA Wala. They have their Prepathon sale live right now for a limited period of time. More than 317 students of PW MBA Wala have already secured convert calls from top B schools, including 73 plus Blackie converts. So if you're looking for a structured CAT coaching for CAT 2026 for these remaining months, you could check out these 2 batches from PW MBA Wala. The first is MBA Ignite 2026. They have it both in English and Hinglish. This will give you live classes, mocks, notes, as well as expert mentorship. But if you want an even more comprehensive batch, then MBA Pro 2026 is for you. It gives you access to all PW MBA Wala batches, existing as well as upcoming ones, plus 1 pass test access, Khazana videos, as well as 4 very premium book bundle. Also, you can check out their CAT Prepathon free batch, which is going on live right now on their YouTube channel, where they'll cover CAT backlog, solve mocks with you, and also teach you how to analyze your video mocks. I've added all the relevant details and links in the description of the video, so make sure that you check it out if you're someone who is looking for a CAT coaching right now. Use the code MEHTA500 for an additional discount. Now let's get back to the video. Point number 3 is work experience. So if you're a fresher, you can skip this because this will not be relevant for you. And if you're someone who is unemployed right now but eligible to work, you could look at ways how you can find a job, even if it's very simple or in a very small company, post giving CAT and till the time sit down for your interview. But if you're already working, this is the point where you can show maximum impact. Yes, for working professionals, this is the most important point. And here, don't just show your responsibilities or your day-to-day work, but the impact that you create, how the company benefits from you. For example, instead of just saying, I manage social media for my company, you could say things like increased Instagram viewership by 42% over 3 months by content strategy or multiple campaigns. Each and every point that you write or how you talk about it in the interview should answer 3 things. What was the problem? What did you do? And what was the measurable impact that you created? Because numbers immediately make you more credible. It shows quantification. It shows that, okay, you took it from 0 to 10 or 0 to 50. Another cliche but true point is that brands do matter. If you're working in established, well-known companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Deloitte, Accenture, they add more credibility to your profile. Or even meaningful roles in recognized startups or NGOs or even family business, if you're able to put it out with impact, that also clearly shows your contribution and that you would have learned something from this experience. The next point is internships. And if you're a fresher, then yeah, this is the point for you. For you, internships will be your biggest opportunity to show your interest, to show that you go out there and do things instead of just studying or just getting good grades. And here I'm talking about all kinds of internships: corporate ones, startup internships, research internships in educational institutions, NGO internships, volunteering internships, government internships, anything and everything that you could find. All of these count if they are meaningful. The most common platforms where you can look for these internships are LinkedIn, Internshala, Unstop, Wellfound, Naukri, and Forge. Now again, don't go overboard and then go do 4 or 5 internships. Just 2 to 3 internships in areas where you're genuinely interested. That could be of value. Point 5 is about life projects, and I feel this is the most underrated point that could help you build your profile, because the best part is that here you don't just have to depend on doing life projects for others, which if you get is great. You could also build projects of your own. Let me give you examples to show what I mean. Let's say you're interested in marketing. One project you could take up is go and audit some restaurant or cafe's Instagram page, their complete Instagram strategy, suggest what they can do better, and then measure the impact that you created, measure the change in the metrics that got created after they followed your strategy. If you're interested in HR, you could help design engagement surveys or help come up with new activities for a startup. If you're interested in business analytics, you could build a Power BI dashboard based on publicly available data for any company. If you're interested in consulting, you could create a market entry strategy for any small business. You could either post these on LinkedIn to show that you're working on these, or you could get them reviewed by industry professionals, request for feedback. And these could also be very good entry points if you're trying to approach any company for an internship or a full-time job. If you start with something that you've already built for them, then you definitely are going to get noticed. Now, here are some of the ways you could look for such life projects. LinkedIn outreach, following the right people, following the right pages. Wellfound, Internshala, reaching out to college alumni who work in startups. Then there's college professors, startup incubators, or just reaching out to your friends who work in startups. Keep in mind that one such targeted life project in a company or in an area where you're interested in is so much more powerful than 5 random certifications. Which brings me to point number 6, which is certifications. And here again, don't just collect random certifications. They should mean something to you. They should add something to your story. They should be in areas of your interest. And not only that, you should actually have built the skill for which you're showing a certification. Choose certifications that teach you something practical, that teach you something that you can implement. For marketing, here are the certifications that I think could be helpful. Google Digital Marketing and E-commerce Professional Certificate, Google Analytics Certification, Meta Blueprint, HubSpot Academy, which covers content marketing, SEO, email marketing. For finance, Bloomberg Market Concepts, Corporate Finance Institute, FMVA, CFA Investment Foundations, NISM certifications. For analytics, we have Google Data Analytics, Microsoft Power BI Data Analytics, IBM SQL professional certification, Excel skills for business. For product and product management, you could do Google Project Management, Google Product Management, Scrum Fundamentals, Agile with Atlassian Jira, some general business certifications, Wharton's Introduction to Marketing, Yale Finance Markets, University of Michigan, Successful Negotiations, Harvard Online Leadership and Communication. Some of these are auditable, which means you can do these for free, but a lot of these require you to pay a certain fee, so only do the ones that are generally relevant for your profile. The next point is leadership. And here it's not just about the title, your title at your work or a title in a group committee. It's about what changed because you were there. What did you lead? Examples here could be school or college, council, committees, groups, fest groups, placement committee, entrepreneurship cell, NSS, NCC, anything related to TEDx, the Toastmasters Society, club presidents, campus ambassadors for other fests. And one practical tip here is that make sure that you always have documented proof when you were in such roles, either certificates or letters from faculties, appointment letter, anything like this, because this is one of the items that people very often fake in their CVs. The next point is my favorite because it's about entrepreneurship, side hustles, and building a personal brand. And this is where you can genuinely differentiate yourself, because these things need solid proof, which not everyone can get. A personal brand, be it on LinkedIn or Instagram or YouTube, is a very clear proof that you have taken initiative that nobody asked you to. You did it just because you wanted to, because this was an area of interest. Examples could be content creation across platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, having a newsletter of your own, or a blog, or a podcast. Or you could do freelancing, where you do resume reviews, or copywriting, or editing, or UI UX, SEO, meta ads, graphic designing, financial modeling, Power BI dashboards. The list is endless. Or you could be creating digital products, Notion templates, posters, prompt libraries, study notes. Here are some business ideas: photography, print on demand, home bakery, any kind of merchandise. Family businesses also count if you contributed meaningfully and you're able to explain it to them, whether it taught you operations or marketing or procurement or finance. But you have to show impact. You have to show what did you change. And of course, make sure that you have proof, you have invoices, you have proof that you were getting paid, or the proof that you were generating revenue. Client testimonials, websites, recommendation letters. Collect all of these wherever possible. Point number 9 is volunteering. And of course, any kind of social impact shows that you're not just concerned about yourself, but you also believe in giving back. But don't just do volunteering for the sake of the certificate, because more often than not, the person sitting in front of you will be able to understand if you actually did something or this is just a point you've written for the sake of writing. Here are some excellent platforms where you could look for volunteering experience: Teach for India, Bhumi, Make a Difference, Connect for, Robinhood Academy, Robinhood Army. I had volunteered at Robinhood Academy. I volunteer, Idealist, all different websites of the United Nations, NSS, Youth for Seva, and many more. Now, don't just do 5-6 volunteering experiences where you showed up just for one day. A better approach would be to pick just one experience and show up there for 3 weeks or a month or 3 months. Point number 10 is case competitions. And again, this is very close to my heart because the first job that I got was through a case competition called Tata Steel Women of Metal. And case competitions are the fastest way to show that you have skills that are helping solve real business problems. Because what is a case competition? It's a genuine business problem that the company is facing, and they've put it out to students to get ideas, to get solutions. Winning is fantastic, but even if you're able to get to the national level or the regional level, that is again a point that you could write. Point number 11 is related to research and getting your papers or research published. Research is very underrated because it is very rare, because very few people will be interested so deep in a subject that they can write research papers or white papers. You could do this with professors of your college, or you could do this independently. Examples include literature review, consumer surveys, business case studies, white papers, conference papers, industry research reports, or you could write reports as a part of the organization where you're working. If you're expert in any field where you did some research or you did some project, that could again be a paper that you could write, get published, or talk about it on LinkedIn. Even if your work doesn't get published in a reputed journal, just completing such a rigorous research project itself will show your analytical thinking, your curiosity, that you can go deep in subjects. And finally is point number 2, which is your hobbies. And here again, I have the same advice. Please don't fake your hobbies, because if you don't speak about the topic with interest, if you're not able to answer basic questions, the interviewer would know you've written this just for the sake of writing. And these are one of those questions where you could genuinely bring out your authenticity, you could genuinely bring out your personality. What is it that you're interested in? What is it that you do in your free time? If you mention reading, then be prepared to discuss your favorite works, your favorite authors, your favorite themes in detail. If you mention investing, then be ready to answer all kinds of questions about the markets, about different strategies, whether you've made money or lost money, have you ever really put your skin in the game. If you mention running, then be prepared to talk about your training, about the biggest events in the category, the biggest players, the biggest winners. Never list something just to sound impressive. List only the things on which you could talk comfortably for 5 to 10 minutes with a sparkle in the eye, with some real experience. Before we wrap up, let me save you months of wasted effort. Don't just collect 30 random course certificates, doing internships without learning anything, joining clubs but never contributing, faking hobbies, exaggerated achievements that you're not able to defend in interviews, waiting until after CAT to even think about profile building, or thinking that CAT alone will guarantee you an admission. That's all I had for you in this video. I hope you genuinely took something that you could add to your profile, that you could work on, and this helps you create a better profile for your MBA admissions. If it helped you, then make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and tell me more ideas that you would want me to make videos on. And bye bye, all the best.